Hi, Paraton Weather Meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, June 24th. Quite a difference across the nation in terms of the overall temperature pattern over the past several days. We're enjoying some very nice weather conditions in the northeastern quadrant of the nation. That includes the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, New England as well. Comfortable temperatures and humidity levels. And really for the whole month of June, it's been quite decent in the I-95 corridor region, for example. Temperatures not far from normal. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City for the month of June. Meanwhile, out in the western U.S., of course, they've been having some intense heat, and it gets really intense this weekend over the, of all places, the Pacific Northwest, where they could see some all-time record high temperatures in some areas. Portland, Oregon, for example, on Sunday could challenge its all-time record high, and we'll talk about the overall temperature pattern across the nation. But first I wanted to start off with a quick look at the tropical situation. Claudette is long gone now. We have a couple of waves in the tropical Atlantic, and the second one, the one that just emerged off the African coastline, is definitely one to watch. First of all, we have a relatively weak system right here. It's kind of been meandering around. It continues to drift towards the Caribbean Sea, but it doesn't hold out much promise for development. This is a strong wave just now emerging off the west coast of Africa. This is the west coast of Africa right here. This will continue on a path over some very warm waters over the tropical Atlantic. This has plenty of signs that indicate this system may very well strengthen over the next 10 days to 2 weeks or so. This is something to watch. We will certainly monitor it here at ParatonWeather.com. Again, this could become a factor certainly for the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean Sea, and the southern and eastern U.S. in 10 to 14 days or so. We're talking probably the early part of the month of July, but this is a strong wave to watch over the next several days. Well, let's get back to the continental U.S. and talk about the overall pattern, specifically the temperature pattern. Right now, as we start off the day, we have high pressure ridging, higher heights than normal over the northeastern part of the nation and also across the center part of the nation. Look at this area, though, here over the Pacific Northwest. This is the forecast map from last night's 6Z run of the GFS. And watch what happens out here in the Pacific Northwest as we go through the next few days. At the same time, higher heights than normal tends to intensify over New England. It really expands and intensifies over the Pacific Northwest. This is by Friday, and then let's move into the upcoming weekend, Saturday, and finally by Sunday morning. Just a very unusual strong upper level ridge sitting right over the Pacific Northwest, right in this area right here. This is upper level ridging, and again they could have some record challenging high temperatures, all-time high temperatures in some of this area here. Portland, Oregon, for example, over the weekend, maybe on Sunday. Something to watch here. And again, very anomalous high heights here over the Pacific Northwest over the weekend, and that will lead to some significant increase in temperatures. And notice here in the middle part of the nation, upper level troughing, so they'll be enjoying some normal, maybe even below normal temperatures. Let's keep moving forward here, and really the split in the nation continues with a nice weather coming later this weekend into the early part of next week over the Central Plains, but very hot out in the Pacific Northwest, and we certainly get quite warm here in the Northeast, where we have enjoyed some low humidity values over the last 48 hours or so. Certainly gets more humid, noticeably humid by the upcoming weekend, and with that increasing humidity will come an increasing chance of showers and thunderstorms really throughout much of the eastern half of the nation this weekend into the early part of next week. Well, how does the height pattern aloft going forward translate to temperatures? Let's look at 850 millibar temperature anomalies here. Again, very pleasant air mass, cooler than normal here across the eastern part of the nation. Philadelphia, for example, should be up in the mid-80s right now for afternoon highs, and it'll struggle to get to 80 degrees, probably holding in the upper 70s in Philadelphia with very low humidity levels. That goes for D.C., New York City, Boston as well, but above normal from the Pacific Northwest all the way into the Central Plains. And let's move forward here. Again, these are 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Here we are by tomorrow afternoon. Still a nice day across the eastern seaboard. Maybe a little bit warmer, a little bit more humid than what we're experiencing today. But the real humidity increase will be noticeable on Saturday as opposed to tomorrow, and certainly high humidity will be around on Sunday and Monday as well. But look at out here in the Pacific Northwest and watch what happens over the upcoming week, and just far above normal temperatures here expected in Washington State, Oregon, very hot. Some areas will not only experience high temperature records, but may approach all-time high temperature records. Kind of unusual to see a tremendous ridge in the upper part of the atmosphere kind of park itself over the Pacific Northwest this time of the year. More typical would be over the central part of the U.S., over Texas, for example, but this is unusual. Again, they'll certainly have unusually hot temperatures later this weekend especially, and into the early part of the next week. So again, at the same time they get intense heat out here, cooler than normal out across the Central Plains by the time we get to the early part of next week. This is the Monday morning forecast map. And once we get warmer and more humid over the weekend in the Northeast, will stay that way into the early part of next week. And again, an increasing chance of showers and thunderstorms will come with that higher humidity Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and probably Tuesday as well. But look at this. This is some 30 degrees above normal out in the Pacific Northwest Sunday, Monday time frame. Watch out for some all-time record high temperatures as a possibility here Sunday and perhaps Monday as well. Well, let's now look at the surface forecast maps, and this is the Thursday morning forecast map. Notice here high pressure has shifted off the coast, and that opens the door for southwesterly flow of warmer, more humid air, first developing today across the south central states and into the Great Lakes. And as we go through the next few days, that warmer, more humid pattern will set up and translate to the eastern seaboard. This is Friday morning, still hanging on. One more pretty decent day. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, Boston here as that high just hangs by the east coast here. But by the time we get to the upcoming weekend, the humidity will be much more noticeable in the Northeast. Here it is Saturday morning, and notice the isobar pattern right here. This is a long fetch of southwesterly flow of air right here on the backside of a high off the eastern seaboard and on the front side of a thermal low out here across southwestern part of Texas. So a much more humid weekend coming to the Great Lakes, the Northeast, certainly as compared with what we've had the last few days. At the same time here, we have an increasing chance of showers and thunderstorms. Certainly a better chance in the PM hours as compared to the AM hours. And here we go by Sunday morning. Just intense heat, dry conditions out here in the Pacific Northwest. Watch out for record-breaking heat. Washington State, Oregon, for example, maybe even some areas approaching their all-time high temperatures here. Let's keep moving forward, and as we go into the early part of next week, there's still an increased chance of showers and thunderstorms. This is the Monday evening forecast map, and really a split in the nation in terms of precipitation chances too. Really everywhere here from the weekend on through the early part of next week has a shot at especially afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. Much more humid, all thanks to kind of a Bermuda high setup with high pressure over the western Atlantic. But again, watch out for intense heat out in the Pacific Northwest, especially Sunday, Monday time frame. Longer term, may have to watch for a tropical storm. The system that just moved off the west coast of Africa certainly bears close watching over the next week to 2 weeks. Again, it could have an impact closer to the U.S. by the time we get to the month of July. That's it for now. For ParatimeWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.